Good morning, this is the Great Basin Fire Potential Briefing for Thursday, July 7th, 2016. The main fire potential impacts for the next few days are going to be some strong winds across Nevada and Utah associated with a very strong low pressure system moving into the Pacific Northwest and Northern Rockies. Winds will be strongest across western Nevada on Friday and Saturday and move into eastern Nevada and Utah for Saturday and Sunday. Winds will also be quite strong in portions of central Idaho, but will be accompanied by rain and much cooler temperatures up there. A fuels and fire behavior advisory will be issued today for safety due to extreme fire behavior observed in portions of northern Nevada, southwest Idaho, and southeast Oregon. This fuels and fire behavior advisory has been issued for above normal fine fuel loading and low live fuel moisture. More information on this advisory can be found on the Great Basin website. Yesterday's precipitation was quite light and limited to just portions of far eastern Idaho and western Wyoming. Precipitation over the last 7 days has been very sparse over the northern two-thirds of the region, with just southern Nevada and southern Utah receiving some precipitation, but this was very early on in the period. Things have been quite dry across these areas for the last 5 days or so. Current fire activity is shown on this map with some recent fire growth on the fire in western Nevada. Current ERCs across the region are between the 50th and 70th percentile for the most part, with a few areas, including the central Idaho mountains, popping up into the 70th to 80th percentile. Live fuel moisture values in a few spots across the Great Basin are quite low for the time of year. Shown here are a few of the lowest recorded stations right now, with the Triangle Station in southwest Idaho setting new records for the period of record, which goes back to 2009, and the Palisades Station in northeast Nevada, which is nearing the historical records for an almost 30-year period of record. Not all sample sites are showing values this low for the time of year, and the lowest values are occurring in northern Nevada, northwest Utah, and southwest Idaho. Current fire danger indices are tracking close to normal for the time of year across much of the Great Basin. There really are no standout areas that are seeing extreme fire danger right now in terms of the energy release component. This morning's water vapor imagery shows mild westerly flow in place across the Great Basin today, which will result in mild temperatures and dry conditions region-wide. The main feature we'll be looking at for the forecast is that low pressure system currently in place off the Canadian coast that's going to dig down into the Great Basin. This is a very strong system for the time of year and is quite abnormal, which will bring some unusual weather. Significant fire potential will be still somewhat elevated over Nevada and southwest Idaho today, although no widespread triggers are expected until tomorrow. Wind gusts shown here are fairly light today across much of the region. On Friday, the low pressure center drops further south and begins to move closer to land. This will bring an increase in wind speeds, particularly to northern and central Nevada, where we have those PSAs highlighted for that high-risk trigger. Shown here in more detail are those wind gusts, with gusts up to 30 to 35 miles an hour across western Nevada, and gusts in the 25 to 30 mile an hour range over southwest Utah. Relative humidities remain quite low in these areas as well. Winds will also be gusty over the east central Idaho mountains, but relative humidities will be quickly on the rise in that area. On Saturday, that low pressure center makes its way inland, bringing some moisture to the central Idaho mountains and keeping very strong winds in place across the central Great Basin. Gusts are expected to increase for Saturday, up to 35 miles an hour, in mainly the same areas of western and northern Nevada and western and southwest Utah. 3-day precipitation accumulation is shown here. The bulk of the precipitation will remain over the Pacific Northwest, although the mountains of central Idaho, particularly the northern fringe, should receive some precipitation in that Friday to Saturday timeframe. Sunday should be the coldest and wettest day across the north as the low pressure center moves overhead. Widespread showers are expected over the mountains of central Idaho and could even see some along the Snake River Plain. High elevation snow is possible with this system as it's very cold for the time of year. Ahead of that cold front, however, in eastern Nevada and Utah, conditions will be very windy with continued low relative humidity, particularly across the south and southeast. On Monday, the center of that low pressure quickly skirts away, but cooler temperatures will be left in its wake under west to northwest flow. Dry conditions continue across central and southern Utah, although the winds will be much lighter. Temperatures will begin to rebound on Tuesday and into Wednesday as a weak high pressure rebuilds across the Great Basin. 7-day precipitation accumulation shown here, with the bulk of the precipitation again coming to the mountains of central Idaho, with possibly 1 inch to 2 inches expected over those areas. The extended forecast is calling for continued below normal temperatures with below normal precipitation region-wide as another trough of low pressure will move into the Pacific Northwest. Again, this keeps moisture out of the southwest and will keep conditions rather dry for the time of year. This concludes today's fire potential briefing. Please check back tomorrow for the latest updates.